Good afternoon, coming to you from the Skyline Studios, high above beautiful Cape Coral, here in sunny Southwest Florida. We've got sunshine, we've got some great conversation coming up with our guest, local artist, Mary Lenart. I'm Ken Ullman, and this is the Endless Summer Podcast, Business Edition. So here on the business edition of the Endless Summer Podcast, we talk to the people and owners of local businesses that make this area a great place to live and work. Today our guest is local artist Mary Lenart. Welcome, Mary.
Thanks, so excited.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. Mary is an artist, lives here in Cape Coral, and today I thought it would be great to learn more about you and your art. And so, first question though I always have to ask is, are you a native Floridian?
I am not.
So we are batting 1,000 on the podcast. There are no native Floridians. So where did you get your, so where did you grow up and where did you get your start in art?
Rochester, New York is where I was born and stayed till I was 12 and then moved to right outside of Cleveland.
Okay.
I was lucky enough that my mom noticed in me at a very young age that I had something that she wanted to nurture. Mm-hmm. So she put me in drawing classes at the Eastman School of Art, which is now part of U of R.
Okay.
And she, I'm one of 4 kids, so she dropped me off on Saturday morning and came back and got me after my drawing class was over, which I was in with most of adults, had a lot of one-on-one. And I can still remember the smell of that building. I just loved it as soon as I walked in. It was like it's like somebody who loves horses and you walk in and you smell the barn, it's just that smell. So, and then she would pick me up at the end and we'd go across the street to the Brass Frog, which I understand is not there anymore. And then I moved to right outside of Cleveland to Solon, Ohio.
I know Solon.
Yep. You talked
Been there.
About that. Yep. And then right next door is Sugar and Falls, where I ultimately ended up raising my kids, and there's the Valley Arts Center. And so I was lucky enough to, again, thanks Mom, took me to drawing classes every week and just kept nurturing me until I finally was like, okay, I guess I'm an artist.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was really cool.
And I noticed from looking at some of your artwork, and we're going to show some of Mary's artwork obviously while we're talking today, but I noticed that you paint flowers. Mm-hmm. And so what got you started on flowers? So
big gardener.
Okay.
Used to have perennials and roses and you name it. It was always part of my yard. And recently discovered in the last couple of years that I have a life-threatening bee allergy. So I'm no longer out there.
No longer out in the garden.
Although, now we live here in Florida. I have them growing in my lanai. I don't have to worry about the bees.
That's true. But
really, it all started while I was gardening and just getting down on my knees and looking at the most beautiful flowers and having a conversation with somebody and saying, so have you ever noticed how beautiful the underside of a Gerber flower is, or as we all know it as a Gerber flower? And the answer was always, no, what are you talking about? I've never seen it.
That would be my answer.
Right?
That would be exactly, yeah.
So there was then born the flirtatious Gerber. I had plants that I'd bring them inside. I'd buy them from the garden centers and still put them in planters in my house. And I had this beautiful room where the sun would hit these flowers in the morning, and they were just flirting with me, just the way that they looked. They were so beautiful. They were turned upside down. And so I went and grabbed my camera and started taking a million photos and knew that I needed to get that on a canvas. And boy, you buy artwork for the conversation, and I wanted it to be that I'm recording part of beauty that most people don't take the time to look at.
Right.
So there was this whole idea that was born, taking that one flower, throwing it up, and on the larger the canvas, the better. I mean, I've been known to paint 6 by 6 feet. Wow. So I love painting large and one item. And I have done where people will say, will you paint this, and that? And I do it, and I find that I struggle through it because I just want that one angle, beautifully light hitting it. So there's this whole thing about color. So we're going to do a little, we're
I
gonna do a little
noticed that.
exercise.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. I was going to say,
Yeah.
because I noticed in some of the paintings that I looked at one of them that had a lot of white in it, but when I looked up closely, I realized it wasn't just white.
Right.
So, yeah, and that got me started thinking about how that all works. So,
Okay, so you're under an oak tree. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's summer. It's, maybe 11 in the morning, so it's still cool under there. And you're under that tree. What colors do you see, and what colors you actually feel color, but what do you see?
So, just being the monochromatic guy that I am, no, I would say a couple of shades of green for the leaves that are on the trees. Definitely like the brown or the gray in the stump. Probably for me, that would be about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's probably pretty lame, but that's what I would see originally, I think.
Okay, so here's what's really there. There are greens of many tones. You're so right. There's browns, there's blues, there's deep purples, there's deep cool pinks. There's just all those colors that you don't realize that are there, but they're in the cooler side.
Okay.
Okay. Now walk outside. What
Okay.
colors do you feel when you get out from under that tree? If you had to.
So like out in the
And
sunshine?
what do you see? Yes.
So like out in the sunshine, I would think I would see and feel like warm colors, like yellow and red and green, like green grass. I mean, I'm sort of picturing this in my head. Green grass, yellow dandelion kind of thing, yellow from the sun and orange from the sun. And I mean, those four probably I would see.
Yeah.
Is that, somewhat on track, I would think?
You're exactly on track. So I do a lot of one-on-one teaching and painting.
Okay.
And one of the first things I have somebody do is lay out their palette. So you've just gone through the exercise with me that I do with them. So here's my palette. So we're going to do white is always in the left corner.
Okay.
And warm tones are here. So we're going to go yellow, orange, pink.
Wow.
Beautiful, like the warmest tones, the reds, right?
Wow, yeah,
And
that's
then-
really
and
neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then we're going to do cool down here because it would only make sense. The white with what's up on top, and then we're going to do the cool colors. So the deeper greens, the blues, the purples, the deeper pinks. So that's over here, and I always even do a little bit of brown, a little bit of black, and then I don't use a lot of black. It just depends on what I'm painting. So now we have our palette.
Wow.
So now you have our white flower, the anemone. Which
Okay.
is the next painting.
The
is
next
the
painting,
anemone.
okay, right.
It's
The-
actually called A New Day. So the first one's called Flirtatious Gerber, and this one's called A New Day.
Okay.
And I name them because they are all unwritten journals of my life. So I can look at each painting and tell you exactly what was going on in my life, my kids, even as they were growing up, just the images in my head of them running in and out in their little bathing suits, soaking wet, playing in the water, whatever, So the anemone, I really wanted to record. I love that beautiful, rich pincushion center of that purple. But then the white is a challenge to me. I love painting white flowers.
Okay.
So if I just painted white, you would just see white. It would be
Right.
flat, like
Right.
a wall.
Right.
But that's not really what your eye sees. You don't realize it, but your brain and your eye, they're recording those beautiful warm tones that are mixed into that white so that you
Okay.
can see that it's the bright white. But then we're going to go to the undertone, the underside of that flower, or when
Okay.
the petal turns, and you're going to have the flecks of the deeper blues and the greens and the purples and even the cooler pinks that are in there.
Wow.
So when I paint it, you are seeing the color that I can see, that I want to record,
Okay.
that I'm forcing myself through years of training my eye to see it.
Right.
All those colors.
That fascinates me. Like that just fascinates me. So we've shown those three paintings now, and we'll definitely show you some more going forward. But I have a question for you, because I know you're an oil painter, and but there's also, I learned a new French word today. It's called giclée, and that's a method of delivering art, if you will.
Yes.
And explain that one and how that works.
Okay, so I spend about 6 to 8 weeks on my paintings, and not everybody wants to pay for an original piece of work. And not all the time am I going to sell the original, because I am attached to them for certain places of time in my life that I may not want to part with it. So I have them scanned by a professional printer down in Naples. They're phenomenal. and then they print, and in this case, my work gets printed on canvas, and the process is giclée. Giclée is a French word for squirt, and it's not the old style printing where it's 3 colors layered on top. It's by an inkjet printer. So the canvas is being rolled out, and the inkjet is literally squirting the color out on as it's being rolled out, and it's all of the recording from the scan is being recorded, and with all the variation of color out onto the canvas. And
it's fascinating to me.
It's the coolest thing for me, because it allows me to still sell my work, make it affordable for somebody that doesn't want to buy the original.
Right.
And the really important thing to say is, let's say the original is 3 by 5 feet, 36 by 60, and somebody doesn't want to have something so big, they want it to be smaller. You can only print to the original size or smaller. So in many instances, if somebody's in a different state and they don't want to pay the freight to have a 3 by 5 foot painting shipped to them, what my printer does is they print it, they stretch that canvas on the stretcher strips, and for somebody local, it's not a big deal. I bring it back to my house, I embellish it, so no 2 paintings are ever, no 2 giclées are ever the same.
See, that's really neat. So you can embellish it with colors or something like that, right?
Put all the brush strokes, not all, but I am putting my brushstroke back into it, and then I am signing it with my original signature. Each one is numbered, and the value is still there.
Right.
So, and then even into the future, I will be doing like printing on cards and all different products. So by scanning my work, it's allowing me to keep reproducing and then the value of the original painting continues to go up.
And on the other mediums too, like you said, like towels or greeting cards, you can do all that stuff, absolutely.
Yes.
That's a fascinating process. That's really neat. And I did not know that, once it's printed, that you could actually embellish it as well. So it makes it even more original.
It's so cool.
So to your point, no 2 are alike.
Yep. And one thing I want to talk about, when I'm painting, I love to get up really early. And now living in Florida, I can go and paint a Mary Lenart. And I bring one of my, I have a very huge, massive easel that cannot be moved, but I have easels that can be moved with reasonable. I put them out of Mary Lenart, and I am painting with the sun. And I have music on that. I'm very music driven. I play music that kind of puts me into a mode. So my latest painting, Bloom, I started listening to Angelo Rose from Rochester, New York. He grew up 2 doors down from me. We recently connected through family members, and I discovered that he is an incredible musician.
Wow.
So I've been playing his music and working on Bloom. And it's just been the coolest thing. And so now when I post my work on Instagram, and I can pull his song up and play it, because that's what I was listening to.
With this, like everybody does on it. Yeah, that's so cool.
The Anemone, A New Day, I listened a lot to Johannes Lindstedt and Armique. They're Spanish. Their music is full of rich romance and a lot of, and so I get my music as loud as I can get it and just get lost. So it is part of my process.
That is amazing. Your passion and your passion shows. And I love to see that in person when you're passionate about something you do.
Well, you would know you're a musician.
And it's a great feeling when you're doing something that you truly love to do. So where can we find the paintings?
So MaryLenart.com is my website, although it is going to be redone. Right now you can't really blow up the painting just to see it, but it's coming. And then I also, by my email, mklenart, Lenart @gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram, MaryK_paints. Facebook, so you can find me a lot of different places.
And we'll put all those at the end of the podcast. And the podcast itself will be on the Endless Summer podcast channel on both Facebook and YouTube. I encourage you to get out there and check out Mary's art. It really is amazing, and it really caught my attention, and that's how we met, actually. So, So from the Skyline Studios, a big thank you to Mary Lenart
So excited.
for coming to see us today. Yeah,
love
thank
it.
you so much for being here and explaining all of that. And I just, your artwork is amazing, as are you. So
thank you.
I really appreciate it. Enjoy your endless summer here in Southwest Florida. My name is Ken Owen, and this is the Endless Summer Podcast, Business Edition.